The music always hits hard after a win. Welcome to The Real Deal, the Real Madrid podcast with me, Jarod Hector. I am joined by Taalib, first-time guest on the show, and, of course, Sid. What is up, fellas?
What's going on? Just I was getting ready to enjoy a very relaxing post-game show, and then I just went to go grab a little drink. 5 minutes pass, I come back, it's like Kylian Mbappe has scored. Oh, it's Dean Huijsen's off, and I'm like, damn it! And I actually missed those 5 minutes, so it hit me like a train. But Taalib, how are those for you?
Sorry. No, I mirror what Sid was saying. I was up until the 90th minute. This game should have been dusted and finished, and I'm ready to switch off with my TV. And then all of a sudden there was that goal at the 93rd minute. Okay, that was fine, but then the Dean red card was pretty avoidable. So I think it was a pretty surprising ending to a game that should have been over a few minutes before the first goal.
Yeah, I think that's where everybody is. So we have to start there where it ended, which is a red card on Dean Huijsen. He got sent off. Penalty, Garcia scores from the spot to make it 3-2. I will say this. This is one of my beefs with football in general, and really all sports in general. And that is the inconsistencies with how they call penalties in this sport. Look, the idea of anytime somebody goes down in the box, it's an automatic penalty, last man back. I guess, sure, that's okay. However, we have seen countless examples where that doesn't get called. It's just not, right? And it just happened to be in this one. And the reason why I bring it up is because of the way the referee, after it happened, it literally took him 4 minutes to show the red card. Like he was waiting to get Dean solo and make a whole big dramatic production out of it. And to me, that's one of my huge beefs. It's like, yo, this is not about you, my guy. Like, if it's a red card, show it then and just get the game on and move it, right? Instead of making this whole big elaborate production. I will say Rudiger, prior to the ill-fated clearance, right? That's what scored the first goal to begin with, right? Like we just had some poor play down the stretch, some switching off and just poor execution, which, for a team of Real Madrid's caliber and players of this caliber, we should not be having. So again, to all of your points, I echo that the game should have been done and dusted. And that is definitely an area that Xabi is not going to be happy with. And the team will for sure discuss this, I'm sure, in the locker room and in the days leading up to the semifinal against PSG.
Yeah, for what it's worth, the first 80 minutes were, I thought, basically perfect as far as you could ask for. We early on, Rudiger maybe gets exposed once, maybe like you worry about him. And then after that, we're just good. We're good most of the game. We go up 2-0. I thought the second half, there was like maybe 10, 15 minutes at the start of the second half where we fade. But from minute 60 to 88, when I left my laptop and it was 2-0, it was basically perfect, I thought. Like they overcame their period of fatigue. Some of the subs came on and did a better job. And out of nowhere, it becomes 3-2. But I guess so, just to start with maybe the good of the first half, what you guys saw. I just thought like the team is adding more layers of paint, so to speak. Like they're getting more sophisticated. They play 4-2-3-1, out of possession, in possession, sometimes 4-2-3-1, but it morphs into a 4-3-3 or, and it's like super narrow with Fede tucking in on the right, but the left side was phenomenal with Fran. So I thought that was the story of the first half. Like, we really used the left side with Fran, especially, and just dominated. And that was like the one thing I was looking for in the tournament, which we got now.
Yeah, Fran's a great place to start. He's not for me, but I could easily see if you want to name him your man of the match. I wouldn't knock you for that. Fran was awesome. And this goes to show Sid and Taalib. Look, we've all had our time dumping on Fran and his poor play, and we're not going to all of a sudden now say he's the best left back in football, right? That's not what we're saying. But it is incredible how when there's a system in place and there is defined roles being asked and weaknesses are being masked, how all of a sudden he jumps from, oh my God, this guy is a sieve at left back, we can't have him here, to all of a sudden, this dude is more than serviceable in a less chaotic system, right? Like, and that's It's not about knocking Ancelotti. It's just about when you don't have the 11 best players in the world in each position on the pitch, people like Fran, who is not, will get exposed in an Ancelotti free-flowing system. But with a guy like Xabi, who's like, no, we're not having that. Here's what I want everybody doing. His weaknesses get masked and his strengths get accentuated. And you're like, wow, this guy's actually decent. Look, we signed Carreras. Carreras is clearly starting. That's a no-brainer. But in this setup and system, you can easily see Fran getting minutes and being a more than capable squad player for Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't see it just a couple of games ago, so that was a big surprise for me. But I was a very pleasant surprise because he was like the main one getting on the end of like a lot of the attacks at the start. Taalib, what did you think of that first half from Fran, or just general the Fran situation?
Yeah, so as Jarod said, I think Fran has come a long way since last season. I think he's given more of the ball. From what I saw last season was there was a lot of instances where he used to do all those runs at forward, and then he never used to get the ball because someone like Jude or somebody would not pass to him. But now I'm seeing a lot of these midfield players passing to him. He runs with the ball and then he passes back and goes up a layover. So I'm seeing that improvement from Fran. A little bit better on the crossing also. I saw especially in this game. But just to speak about the first half, the first 35 minutes was when I saw Madrid really play with the ball. Passing was pretty crisp. Players were very close to each other, so you could interchange play and run between the lines. After the 35 minutes, they kind of became a little bit sluggish. Dortmund was quite poor towards until the 90th minute. And even in the first half, I saw a very poor Dortmund. They just did not know how to attack. And even when they did attack, there was nothing in the final third. But that 35 minutes is pretty much sums up Madrid's game, in my opinion. So and then after that was sluggish, and then obviously we can speak about the second half, which was kind of a little bit better from Madrid's point of view once the subs came in.
Yeah, they were. Oh, go ahead, Sid.
Oh, well, what you said about the passes being made, I agree, and not just with Fran, but the whole team. But even Fran, there was one pass Fede made when he could have went anywhere, and Fran was running down the line, but he curled it to Fran, and Fran came back short to pick it up. If you guys remember, Fran was making the run, and he curled it short. Fran came back outside to pick it up, and it was just a great example of how we use all the angles again. It feels like a team that has all the tools on the controller that they're using. They're playing all the different passes, the technical abilities being maximized, and Tchouaméni is the other one who just went from him. I would just say, just like Fran, I mean, we've seen it from him every game, whereas Fran maybe has been developing, getting better and better. But just how quickly he went from struggling to being in some dual role where he interprets each situation as a center back or DM, from not being able to play any role too well to playing all the roles in hybrid situations. I think that those are great examples. But
for sure. I think for Fran, one of the things we talked about was, especially last year when we were critiquing him, was that his energy was always so frenetic, and it looked like he was a little bit out of control and didn't know what to do. That has been taken out of his game. It's like he has some pausa added, and his heart rate has slowed down a bit, right? Before, when you looked at him, everything was chaotic, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I think to your point, Tali, that you mentioned, guys are giving him the ball, so he's getting more comfortable. And again, because Xabi has defined roles for people, he knows what is expected of him, and he knows what the other players are supposed to be doing. And that helps, right? That helps settle him and settle his nerves. And I think that's huge. I also think that you mentioned how Dortmund wasn't great in the final third. I think a big reason they weren't getting service into Garcia was Xabi starting with the back four and having Dean and Rudiger as your center backs in the middle there, right? Two big dudes able to sort of lock him off, right, and not allow the ball to get into him as he was well covered. And then you mentioned Tchouaméni, Sid. I thought he was awesome tonight. He's been awesome all tournament, but in this role where he's pushing forward, this is the Tchouaméni that I've said that was all along. This is who he is, right? We saw him boss a World Cup. This is the guy, right? And it's because he has defined roles. He knows what is expected of him. And you see, Xabi's always talking to him. With the cooling break, he spent at least 2 minutes specifically just with Tchouaméni solo. Here's, we're going to do this. And it's it's a dialogue. It's not just barking orders. They're communicating back and forth. Look, Tchouaméni is going to be so huge for this club this year. This coming season. I don't know how else anybody can not see that. I want to get to the build-up phase, and to your point, Sid, every area of the pitch and zone are being used, and it's so wonderful to see. This team, and look, we won 2 Champions Leagues doing this, but in the past few seasons, right? It's spam the ball on the left and let Vinny cook and do his thing, and that works, and it's awesome. But it's so nice to see every part of the pitch being used and everybody touching the ball. And I thought on that build up for that first goal, Dortmund was actually in good defensive position in terms of everybody was back in a line. The problem was Gonzalo Garcia, who we'll get to, slipped in between the 2 center backs, and Arda, with just no pressure on him, a beautiful pass with his left foot, and what a volley into the net by Garcia. And that's just these kinds of buildups to these goals, I think, this is Jobby ball in a nutshell.
So I'm seeing a lot of much improved positional play, like you just mentioned. Every part of the pitch, especially in the middle, compared to last season from Ancelotti, I feel there's a big upgrade. So Arda Guler starting as a CM role, a little bit towards the closer to the defenders, and then Tchouaméni slightly forward role. Mm-hmm. And I feel that's exactly what you just said. Tchouaméni has kind of changed his play from that DM/ to a CM DM role, where he goes a little bit forward and then he does this interchangeable play, and he tries to go get the ball in between the lines. And though that line can be pretty thin, but he still goes a little forward and tries to get the ball, and then you make that pass to Jude or whoever. So I think that's where his game has really improved. Obviously, the tackling aspect is still there. Tchouaméni is an excellent tackler. And I think this is where he picks up his game similar to what we saw with Casemiro. Casemiro was not just a DM. He used to take the ball forward, and that's exactly what Tchouaméni is doing now. He's more integrated into that Xavi ball that we can see right now.
Sid, we talked about this on the last show with LeConte and our player grades. The 3 guys who we think have all improved, but I said as honorable mention, the entire midfield, right? Like, we have seen the midfield and this is only match 5 and 12 or so training sessions. Imagine how good this midfield unit will be in December and January of next season.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, just from what I'm seeing, it's just about surviving, like the calendar. But like, they look so good, and I agree about the Tchouaméni thing. I'm surprised. Like, Tchouaméni is so much better, I think, facing goal than Casemiro. Still, just press resistance and on the ball. But I was just impressed to see how seamlessly Alonso told Guler to go pick it up from the center backs, and then had Fede and Tchouaméni in front of him. Like, that's just not even something we tried last year. And even this year, when people were asking, like, where would Arda play or where would he defend, I didn't see him like dropping in front of the center backs. Like, that's as deep as it gets. So that was really cool. And Arda was by far our most dangerous player. I think, again, every game it's been someone different. Like, game 1 was Dean. Arda's had a couple good games now, but Trent has had a dominant game. This wasn't a dominant Trent game. This was the Arda game. Like, if you see in the expected threat, he created way more than everyone else on the team combined. So
he had 2 assists. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's cool to see. I mean, Arda is right in that Kroos Modric like hybrid role. He's like a deeper Ozil, like what we would have gotten from Ozil maybe in the modern game. I mean, Ozil was always insane with the final ball, but I love the Arda role. I'm definitely pleasantly surprised. And yeah, everyone just knows when to let go of the ball in midfield fast. It's like really quick. Like, the ball ping pongs through midfield like you're playing those little ping pong games you would growing up. It's like an obstacle course, and they already know how they're navigating it. So really loving that.
The zones are always occupied by players now under choppy ball, right? Whereas in the past, we'd have gaping holes all over the place, which is how we get sliced and diced and back on our back heel. And that's just, again, positional awareness. Like, how much better are you with and there's still freedom, because you can see it. You see guys floating back on opposite sides of the pitch. So it's not like pep ball where it's like, no, you stay in this little 5-yard radius and don't move. It's zones occupied, and then you have freedom to do things once a zone is occupied. And it's fantastic. And I'll say this, with that structure, we are even still, to me, even though we didn't score off 1 in this game, I don't think, or maybe we did 1, this is still the most lethal counterattacking team in world football. Like, right? So even if we're pinned back, all it takes now with Trent and Dean back there and Arda, like 1-2 passes, and it's trouble coming down, right? Vinny racing down one end. Gonzalo Garcia, who we'll talk about him again, has been awesome. Kylian, like, Lord help us when Franco gets here. Like, this team is still elite on the counterattack. In addition to, oh yeah, we now have structure and you can't cut through us that easily, and we can build up into goals now.
So I'm seeing a lot of much better pressing from the team. So that's when you see the defense pressing, moving forward, and pressing when there's an attack from the opponent. But even if one player's pressing and they get beaten, I saw a couple of instances where I think it was Trent or Arda who got beaten, and then there's that Zidane type of football. So you have one player coming in and closing down and trying to get the ball. So I think that's a big improvement from last season. Last season with Ancelotti, there was one press, and then if that press is beaten, and then you have, like you said, there's a big hole in the middle, and then they just reach the last third. So I think that's one thing Xabi has really instilled into these players.
And what you're seeing too, Sid, and we talked about this with Xabi, is tactical versatility, right? Like, it is, we were a back three the last 2 matches, right? We went back 4 this time. Sometimes when in possession we go 3. You just see fluidity and flexibility, which I think is going to be key, right? Within the 11, right? Because it's the same 11 that started. We just shifted them around a little bit differently, right? And that, I think, is going to be critical for this team going forward. I see Keiki made a comment that we allowed a lot of the ball for Dortmund. And I think the reason why is that Xabi wasn't worried about them. He's like, I don't mind if they actually have possession because of the way we're set up defensively. And you saw it, right? Like, they didn't get any real chances until the Rudiger giveaway, right? Which had the first goal, and then the red card penalty in the box. I mean, that was their threat. I think if you pull up Mark's stat spot, we were at 3.1 XG and they were 1.39, right? I mean,
and Adeyemi in the 5th minute, I thought there was that cross from the left, which not sure who headed it wide from Dortmund side. Yeah, that was the only chance in the first half of Dortmund.
Yeah. And I honestly think it's important to be able to defend without the ball. It's just a lot of energy sometimes to try and win the ball back when the other team is trying to chase the game. So I just feel like in that context, it was perfect up till the 90th minute. And honestly, like, it's just silly what happened in the 90th minute. Yeah, we gave up 2 chances out of nowhere, quick. Like,
it was a bad clearance by Rudiger, just terrible, just a terrible clearance.
And so on Rudiger, I feel like really the main weak link right now in the team, you could say, is him physically, because Trent is timid at points, people will say, but it is what it is. Some people will say maybe Modric and Ceballos are not like as good defensively. Lacante was saying, or someone else was mentioning too, Mazin online, he was saying that those guys were not pressing for the goals as well. But I think those issues of like how we manage the game are still like all resolvable. Like, at the end of the day, we still had enough margin because Kylian scored that goal. It is scary to think what happens if Kylian doesn't score it, because Dean maybe, Dean reacted that way anyways when we had a 2-goal cushion. So, maybe he reacts the same way at 2-1 and it's 2-2. But I just want to say Rudiger just doesn't look fit. It feels like, I said this last post-game show too, but he just feels like Alonso's like fed up with Asensio and he wants the money. He knows the Club World Cup money will pay for whatever surgery or new signing they need to replace Rudiger after the tournament, maybe. Listen,
no, it's very obvious, right? I mean, Rudiger, he rushed back from surgery, right? Like, I mean, it was barely 6 weeks. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is nonsense. He should not be playing Club World Cup football in knockout stage matches at this point, right? Like, he needed actual time to heal. But because Asensio was so bad early in the group stage play, Alonso's like, no, and he has to win it, right? He has pressure to win the tournament. He knows, well, I got to go with somebody I trust. Militao is not available, right? Alaba, we've already talked about him. Obviously, there's no trust in Jacobo Ramon, right? He's here with the team, but he's not playing.
He might be going to Como. It sounds
he might be going to Como, right? So yeah, there are center back issues on this team still. We need to sign another one, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. We have to figure out we know what we're going to do. Tchouameni's going to drop in a center back next match, obviously, because we don't have any options, right? This is just the reality of what it is. The second goal, Sid, we talked about how Gonzalo makes runs, not necessarily for him to get the ball, but to help the team be in better position to score, dragging a defender away. On that cross from Trent into the box, what did you see from Vinny running ahead and pulling his defender out, and the ball landed right at Fran's feet for that goal?
No, that was amazing. I need to actually replay that, but I do remember Vinny making that run. I mean, That was a cool goal just because it was on the ground, not even in the air,
Mhm.
and it was perfectly executed. Like, you don't get those every day. I mean, it was amazing, and we did get lucky with the little deflection on
Mhm.
on that cross. I remember now. So there is that. Like, I think maybe Trent didn't intended it for Vinny, but we take it. Like, it was
Yeah.
good, and it was nice to see Fran in the box. I know some people would say that's a bit like his Leverkusen, where he uses his wing backs, like really gets them up, Grimaldo and Frimpong. So
Mhm.
you get that here. Yeah, I really like that. And Talib, what'd you think of Vinny's performance this game? Some people were complaining, saying, "Hey, we need to make it 5-0." I think it's 2-0, and guys, this is when he's normally on vacation. Like, I don't know, it's tricky right now to evaluate him.
I thought Vinny played well personally, but go ahead, Tully.
Yeah, so I saw Winnie's contribution more in a defensive pressing way. So he was attacking the goal, and then he was running at defenders from the forward line. But from an offensive point of view, I thought he had a couple of semi chances, a couple of lobbying shots to beat the goalkeeper. But other than that, he had a couple of runs into the defense and kind of lost the ball. Some of what we know that Winnie does, but somewhat of a quiet game, more of a defensive contribution than an attacking, and then obviously that goal from before Fran, that good run. In that goal, I think that Trent put in a nice cross. Gonzalo could have scored that goal. Vinny could have scored that goal, but then everybody kind of missed it and it landed into Fran. And kudos to Fran, right, to being there, coming in from behind and attacking that goal. So I think that was a good play from Fran, especially complete.
Yeah, I mean,
Fran.
Fullback to fullback. You love to see that. So we go in that halftime 2-0 lead. Everything's looking good. We come out, as Talib said, to start the second half, just a little sluggish, right? Which is, I felt like I could have seen that coming a mile away, right? Like, just it's human nature. One, when you're up, to take your foot off the gas. That's just people. We just do that. Athletes are no different, right? And by Dortmund in pressure, like, we have to score a goal, right? They come out on the front foot and they're really going. But it only lasted about 10 minutes or so. And really, even in that moment, I'm pretty sure, guys, they had no clear-cut scoring chance, Dortmund. They didn't, right? It's just that they were more aggressive. That's all. And then once those 10 minutes were over, to your point, Sid, I thought Madrid settled back into the game very nicely. We made some subs. We held control of the ball a bit. Was pinging it around. I thought we had a chance to possibly, I forgot to mention the first half, the Jude chance to go up 3-0 when he dragged the ball wide. I was like, ooh, and he dragged it with his weaker foot. I was like, and shot it with your right foot, damn it. But whatever. Was what it was. But yeah, once we kind of got there and settled into the game, I thought we were fine. And the Ruger giveaway we talked about, right? 2-1. Okay, it's a little bit of trouble. And then Arda out on the left wing again. Beautiful ball into Kylian. By the way, those two have really good synergy, Arda and Kylian, even from earlier this season. Arda's left foot is like thing of magic. Beautiful ball into the box, and Kylian just doing Mbappe things. Wonderful bicycle kick that he scored and dedicated the goal, I believe, to Diogo Jota, I believe is what he did when he went to the camera.
Yeah, he did. You know, we've had so many left footers just fail due to injuries or some nonsense here. So it's nice to see Arda making up for lost time for all of them. You know, we sold Ozil, and it's like we were cursed with the curse of don't sell Ozil early, like in his prime when you could still use him, because he was so loved and by the fan base at the time. I remember, because I was very hurt when he was sold. I was confused. I'm like, why would you sell like this guy? But you know, it makes sense now. Like, as I've matured over the years, that squad had way too many players at way too many positions. But like, you know, you probably weren't going to sign everyone if you weren't going to sell Ozil in the first place. So I get it now. Like, Isco, that was just redundancy. But even though like Isco wasn't the passer of Ozil, but I really like what Guler's doing for sure. It's changing the game. It's amazing. It's just smooth because like he's not dribbling too much. Like it's like I didn't think I thought his dribbling would be useful, but it's just all playmaking. It's all like getting him the ball with everyone being visible in front of him. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing to watch.
The only time he's dribbling is when we're on a counter or when he's got space directly in front of him and he's advancing towards goal, right? Otherwise, it's quick at his feet, move it off to somebody else, right? Like, and I mean, he is the outlet, right? Every time someone needs an outlet, oh, look, Arda's here, right? Like, it's wonderful. And this was, guys, his first full 90 of the Club World Cup. And so this is also a big sign. Look, he's obviously starting every match from as long as we keep advancing here on out. But one of the things we talked about was, is he ready to start like, against a Classico? He's ready to start like a big Champions League night. I think we've already have the answer in that. I think it's yes. Like Arda is now I'm not going to say undisputed because anything can happen, but he's pretty damn close to undroppable right now.
Yeah, I'm excited also to see what we're going to get from Camavinga, whose ceiling is like as high as anyone here.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we were all probably thinking the same thing, but just seeing him in the same circuits, moving the ball quicker, getting the ball around, knowing when to dribble, knowing when to move, that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, so that's something of a trade-off that you get between Arda and Camavinga, right? So how many assists does Camavinga provide? Not much, but his tackling, his quick feet and he does pass the ball vertically, but mostly it's side to side. I haven't seen too many vertical passing. He still does it, but the big difference between Arda and Camavinga is the assist that Arda is providing right now, right? So when he was playing last season on the right-hand side, he used to take on defenders on the right and he used to do all these dribbles, right? But now, but then assisting was not that great last season because who do you cross the ball to? Because there's nobody to head the goals. But now that has changed. Gonzalo's here. Not sure how long he's going to be playing in the as a first 11. But yeah, so good debate to have between Arda and Camavinga going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Camavinga, right? What does he possess, right? Is his progressive carrying and is it right? Like as a 6-footer and a super athlete, like you can't dispossess him from the ball like you can Arda, right? With the dribbling. Camavinga can dribble through just about anything, right? And progress the ball that way. So I think you're going to see a different type of, again, we talk about Xavi's versatility. That's a different just kind of profile. If he needs more line breakers, all right, cool. With the dribbling, Cama's going to play in the game.
I think he's honestly exactly like, I wouldn't say redundant, wrong word, but like he has pretty much the same traits as Fede in the system that we need. Like, I think Xavi will actually improve his box crashing a lot like Fede. I mean, he'll have him specialize either like a little closer to the goal. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing with Xavi, you're getting like optimized versions of players that you've dreamt of, but when you see it happen for a few games, I don't know, I almost want to see it happen a little longer. It's too good to be true. Like an idealized Camavinga is really a box-to-box maniac who's everywhere, but Xavi's good at like realizing that's very tiring for players, so he doesn't do that, and that's where either the Fede role, or I think the Fede role, though, that's where the Fede role really suits him. On that note, it's funny because Courtois still had to make a save.
A huge save.
But it's not like, I don't know why, but if you look at the XG, the 3 to 1.3, it's not the same as like the saves Courtois had to make in the 2024 final, for example. Right. It's like, even though you can point at that and say, hey, look, like Courtois is bailing your new young nerd coach out or whatever you want to say.
Who says that? Who's saying things like that?
I mean, a lot of the people who have like a lot of nostalgia for Carlo or don't believe in Xavi, who want to see more. I mean,
or Barca Twitter.
Honestly, a lot of Barca Twitter. But a lot of these AstroTurf Barca Twitter accounts that are, whoever paid Fabrizio, they're paid to also create like they paid him to create fake Real Madrid anonymous accounts that they trash they trash our players, they make us think it's us. That's what it feels like sometimes, honestly. Like a lot of them don't feel real. But I just think it's funny because it's just really funny how the optics are. Like Courtois had to make that save, and otherwise it could have, all that first 90 minutes could have been wasted, which shows you what we had going for us, like why we were able to get outplayed and still win games so consistently. Even not that we didn't outplay teams, but we were able to have a dominant season despite getting outplayed so vastly in so many games, which is unusual. Probably the most a 95-point team has been outplayed within games as a percentage of its total minutes that year. And it's just funny. We were almost on the flip side. Like it was really ironic there.
I mean, that's the beauty of this sport, right? Is because goals are so hard to come by and one goal can literally change the outcome of a game, right? Like imagine if Jude didn't drag that ball wide and we went into halftime up 3-0. Does it play out, right? Does Dortmund come out with the set, right? Like probably not, right? Because at 3-0, they're probably like, we're cooked, right? Mm-hmm. 2, you're like, okay, if we get 1, we got a chance. And even then, that 1 didn't happen until what? The, I don't know, 90th minute, 80, whatever minute it was. Like, so it's crazy. All right, let's look forward a little bit. Real Madrid won, and we will now head to the semifinals against the reigning Champions League champions, PSG, the treble winners. Look, PSG, I've long said since January, is the best team in world football. And nothing has really changed my mind or moved me off of that since. I will say they are, like everybody else, it's been a long season, so they're running on fumes a bit and running out of gas. But they're still a very dangerous side, and a side that plays one way, right, with their high press from Luis Enrique. But we are missing now our most press-resistant center back in Dienhausen. So this is going to be a challenge for us, right, in our build-up phase.
Like, the only good news, so emotions at the final whistle. Like, for me, I was just thinking they're missing Pacho and Hernandez. Both of them got their red cards against Bayern. One, and I think that's a big saving grace. And also, just Bayern played a decent game against them. Taalib, what's your initial impression?
So I saw the first 70 minutes of the Bayern PSG game. It was, I believe, it was 0-0 or something like that.
It was,
right. And then after like half an hour, I saw PSG won the game 2-0. But that first 70 minutes, Bayern had a lot of pretty good chances. So what PSG lacked and Bayern did well was running behind the player. They had some pretty good passing by the guy Olise, where they beat defenders and they missed a couple of good chances, especially from Harry Kane. So I saw a better Bayern than PSG in the first 70 minutes. But then I don't know what happened after that. So obviously PSG won. So I think my take on the semifinal would be there is a chance. PSG probably are the favorites because they just won the Champions League. But I think Madrid's going to be there and give a really, really good fight from what I'm seeing over the last few games.
Well, with the way we build up, Sid, we can beat that high press. All I'm saying is that Dean not being here makes it more challenging to do it. That's all.
Interestingly, looking at the stats, Bayern were able to have much higher expected threat the whole game, even though PSG created more chances and won in the end. Like, PSG didn't create so many chances in the first half. Looking at this, they created like 0.65 expected goals in the first half, and then they got a couple chances in the second half. The main thing that changed, I feel like, I didn't pay close attention to the game, but Musiala obviously getting that horrible injury. I think that was at the end of the first half. I just feel like that kind of kills your momentum. Like Wirtz didn't sign with Bayern because he didn't want to like play on a team that's built around Musiala, and then you lose that type of player. It's just never going to be easy. Bayern's whole outlook on their next season just changed with that injury. So
huge.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But with that being said, I think we can match PSG. I mean, listen, the last time Luis Enrique was coaching a treble-winning team, we and Simeone stopped them like 9 years ago. They were 39 games unbeaten. April 2016 Clasico, we beat them 2-1. So it just feels all too familiar. We got a team on the up, new young coach, a club legend, and we're going up against this so-called Enrique juggernaut. And in my opinion, humble opinion, we have better footballers. Like
we do have better footballers. I see Info Labs here. I don't know if that's a bot or not. I agree, Buildup will be affected. Neither Rudy or Sensio are good ball players, right? Like, well, I don't know if they're not. It's not that they're not good ball players. They are not Dienhausen when it comes to advancing the ball and progressing it forward. However, I think that means Arda, right, dropping back to receive the ball is going to be huge, right? And that closeness and that one-touch passing is going to be very big in terms of getting them out of their shape. Because I do believe with the talent we have up front, Fede, everybody, and Jude and Vinny and Gonzalo or Mbappe, like, we're going to get chances to really put pressure on them and do some.
Wait, how are we on? So who's playing center back then? I guess it's going to be
Tchouaméni. It's got to be. Who else is going to do it?
No, it's got to be Asensio. So you don't change the midfield. Probably.
No, I think Asensio.
Yeah.
You probably risk it with Asensio. Also, that's risky because PSG play a lot of dribblers up front, the exact type that you give up penalties against, like just tricky, very tricky players. Like mostly what I worry is like, can you win the ball, or like how much do you struggle against their technical quality in the box, maybe with their dribbling? Don't give away stupid penalties, fouls. Most of the game is going to be won and lost in those little margins. Maybe a tight defensive game I'm expecting. But with that being said, like, I don't know who their center back depth is. Like Marquinhos, fine. Who else? Like I know like Pacho was their starter, right? Like he was essential for them.
Yes.
and Hernandez is pretty, like, I'd imagine like he would be the first in line as well. So it's not easy for them. And Kylian, like, that goal is nice for his confidence because just takes the spotlight away from the whole Gonzalo Garcia, like Kylian, Vinny dynamic, which I feel everyone's trying to talk about. And it just puts it back on like, hey, we have like Mbappe and Vinny. We're lucky.
I mean, it's gonna
go ahead, Taalib.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting what the lineup's going to be for the next game, whether Tchouaméni is going to be center back or midfield. But in my opinion, I think he's got to be on the midfield to close down Vitinha, and we saw in today's game how many tackles Tchouaméni made in the middle and how he was pressing players. So I think he has to start in the midfield. Arda Guler probably in next to him, but one of the little bit of a drawback of Arda Guler is he's not fast enough. So that's when he is not with the ball, he doesn't have that speed to go at defenders and try to tackle. But when he's close to the ball, he can do those slide-ins, and we saw that in today's game. He did get a couple of good tackles. Gonzalo Garcia even though he scored that goal today, he had a somewhat of a quiet game. I think he did do a lot of running and pressing, but compared to his previous game, I think he was a little bit more laid back kind of a thing. So that's why I think, I don't know how Xabi is whether he's gonna choose Mbappe up front. Probably, I think he's been back to fitness now, so it's going to be interesting what the strikers are going to be for next game.
It is interesting, right? That second game in a row, he didn't drop Gonzalo. Gonzalo's just kind of playing well and then scoring at least. I know you mentioned a quieter game today, and he did, but was doing a lot of the other things in terms of off-ball work. That is interesting, right? Do you not upset, but change the dynamic up front with, and it's not about knocking Kylian's pressing or what have you, but Gonzalo will play with a certain level of energy that Kylian just doesn't display, right? Because of what he does on the other end. It's not to say that Kylian won't defend. He will, because Xabi will lift him if he doesn't. But, right, does he want to upset that part up front? I'm not sure, right? That's what we'll have to wait and see. You mentioned Vitinha. He's going to be a problem. So I think you guys are right in that Tchouaméni will have to stay in the midfield. And then Kvaratskhelia, right? Like he's also a problem. Like there are players that of course, Ousmane Dembele, like, I mean, there are guys who Doué, like they won the Champions League for a reason, right? This team is really good. They will clearly be in this tournament the best team we've played by far.
Yeah, they will be. And hey, I mean, I'm excited for Jude to go and fight Vitinha and shove him to the ground and slide him. And yeah, we're gonna beat up Vitinha. Guler's gonna shine. I don't know. It's just that tiki taka in me is coming out. Like we're playing because you don't get teams like this every year, Jarod. I mean, you guys know. Like you get the City. City's not out of the picture now. PSG's that team now, the big enemy. Barcelona play like a Klopp team. They're not even that type of team anymore. So this is our philosophical enemy right now.
Yeah,
and so I can't wait. I can't wait to see the new defense. Just gives me a lot of pride because and yeah, it's very reminiscent of Zidane. I should just say the way the fundamentals of recycling possession. Like we got very boring under Zidane, if you all remember, for a bit. Like that's what I saw after going up 2-0. Like rather be boring than like a boring game is okay when you're winning. Right. That's what you want. You want it to be dumb. You want the audience to be yawning and leaving the stadium. You don't want them around to cheer a remontada.
You want to deflate the other team. You want to take away their will, right? That's the goal. Put it on ice.
Yep. Yeah. And we were. I feel like when we had the ball, we had them running, and when we didn't have the ball, we worked hard, but also not too hard. Like at 0-2 down, we're just hard enough to make things, keep things ticking over. And even at 2-0, it seems like we still try to create, but and we're a little sloppy sometimes, but we're never in a rush. We're never too accelerating too fast, and all that is amazing. And it's just a new level of sophistication. It's been a while. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's new to Real Madrid. It's very Nagelsmann. Like Alonso's just super, super reactive, maybe a little neurotic even, and how quickly he adjusts to most things. I wouldn't even call it neurotic. Like I've thought about little things you could nitpick with him, and so far I just think it's fine. I mean, maybe you could criticize his substitution pattern with Ceballos, Modric. I think Ceballos and Modric, you just can't start them against PSG. It's too risky, is just why we probably see the same unit, which is just primed to press best from the front. Like you need to keep Tchouaméni in that midfield, like you said.
I mean, I think it's obvious he took off Vinny and Jude so they wouldn't get a second yellow card and miss the match, right? That was the big reason for getting them both off at the same time.
And then Dean's like, nope, I was the one you're supposed to take off. I don't know what Dean was thinking, dude. Like, come on, like, just give up the goal, bro.
That was similar to that Asensio foul, right? A couple of games ago.
Except the Asensio foul was so much more obvious to me. This Dean one wasn't. Like, it was so soft. Like, Garate's a big dude. Like, come on, man. Like, Dean Howson is tall, but he's not like as strong as Garate, like physically. Like, there's no, like, he just felt, again, this is why I get annoyed about.
Easily to the
he
ground.
Fell way too easy.
Yeah.
And when refs, you know, that what drives me nuts. Like, he fell way too easy.
Go ahead, Tyler. What were you saying?
Yeah, no. I think that was but that's the rules of the game, right? So if you're the last striker running and then you foul, then that's going to be red card, right? So going back to the subs, I felt that Madrid became a little bit sluggish, and I think it was probably the heat, and everybody is like tired, and they Modric, Ceballos, and Mbappe came in. Pretty interesting. He took out Vinicius, and I was expecting Gonzalo to come out, and then we have Mbappe and Vinicius playing the rest of the game. But it was a pretty interesting sub, and I think Gonzalo provides that defensive pressing part of the game. So next game it's going to be interesting, but I'm pretty sure Mbappe wants to face his old team. So and that's something, you know, he's going to ask his coach probably, like, put me on the team, and I want to start, and you know, no complaints there. It's Mbappe, right? He scored 41
I forgot
goals.
about that angle. I forgot about that angle. Like, you know, we talked about this before, Sid, when I was like, all right, I actually wanted PSG to win the Champions League without Mbappe, for him to be like, all right, man, I want to be a man possessed coming into the next season, right? And yeah, like, this is a great opportunity for him to go toe to toe with his old squad and, you know, show them like, hey, I know you guys won Champions League, but I'm still the best player in the world. Like, look what you're missing, right? I would love that kind of performance from Kylian.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth, this game, at least minute 67, Vinny was taken off because of the yellow. Next game, I think it still might come down to, like, he might be like, hey, you can play 45 or to 60 minutes. You want to start, or do you want to come and be on when the game is decided? Your call. And Kylian is probably going to be like, all right, I can't fight this, so I will choose to be on the pitch when the whistle blows and the result's decided. So I think it might come down to that. It's also like, if Gonzalo is just so fit and going to run, you just need one of Vinny or Mbappe. Like, they are redundant enough, unfortunately. Like, they play, especially in the new role that Vinny's playing. Well, the main difference is, in this new role, Vinny goes wide and really crosses it like crazy when needed, whereas Mbappe is still more narrow. I don't know if he would create the same separation or the same quality of cross, but he's still really good. And that's where I feel like, as a coach, you don't want to start them. Like, you want to save Mbappe for when the other defenders get a little tired, especially PSG with a thin team. And it's nice that we don't, like, really overuse the right wing as dribblers, because we're not going to get embarrassed by Nuno like Lamine Yamal.
What do you guys think about assists from Fran and Arda in these games to Gonzalo? Something maybe we may not have seen, because Mbappe doesn't attack the box that much, and that's what we're seeing right now. Gonzalo is right there in the middle from a pure striker point of view, and he stays in the middle, you know, and then obviously he drifts back to when he doesn't have the ball. So
it's because he's an actual pure striker, so those instincts are natural to him, right? Kylian's learning how to play that position. Like, that's not the position he normally plays. Like, the kid's like, he came up as a winger, not as a striker. So Gonzalo just knows that instinctually, because that's just how he plays, right? That's how he reads the game. So it is, it's going to be an interesting decision for Javi. I think you have a point there, so Sid, is that you're right. I think he will say, okay, you got a choice. 45 minutes is what you're playing about. You want to start that, or you want to come off the bench and play the last 45? Up to you.
Yeah, I mean, and on Gonzalo, the striker stuff is nice, and I guess a lot of people said it was coming. The surprising bit is also how, like, he holds it up in wide areas, and just like all the little things he does to keep an attack alive. Those are just continuing to surprise me. Like, he's like, all the things he does when he's not actually in the box they're not like Benzema stand out. Like, some people are comparing him to Raul. They're really good though. They're very hardworking, and it's kind of what you need from a striker in the modern game. You don't want them to get too static and used to playing for themselves, especially on a team like this with star players. You need them to be willing to play away from the box when needed. So it's just how he conducts himself in those situations while still providing the box threat. So in that sense, he's like a little more than a Joselu in some ways.
Mhm,
like
yeah.
Joselu was good. Like he's more than just a target 9. He like
Yep.
Giroud, Joselu, Budimir, they don't like run the way he does around.
Right.
In that sense, he's a little Benzema. Like Benzema would knit anything together anywhere, no matter where he started or finished. He would make sure the move progressed. And Garcia's kind of done that. We've seen him in every little type of situation.
It's that youth energy that he has, right? He's all over the pitch. He's on the left side. He's on the right side. In the middle, he's pressing the box, the defense.
He plays with a certain hunger because he is still trying to prove himself, right? Like that's a big part of this, right? He is trying to show Xabi, there is no way you drop me or I move to another team. Like he's right. Like that's what he's doing with his play. That's what he's showing, right? And other guys, unfortunately, don't have to show that because they're already guaranteed spots, right? He technically still isn't, right? We don't know what's going to happen come next season, right? So I think that's why you're seeing that too, right? And the whole Castilla and all that, right, coming up through the ranks, like that's a big part of this. But yeah, I love what he's been doing and how he's been playing. He's tied with someone who for the top scorer for the tournament. Leonardo, maybe? Got to go check that out. But yes, I think he is with 4 goals.
So Fluminense played Chelsea on the other side. And then I wonder if Chelsea have another signing from that team, like from another Brazilian team that they're just going to celebrate with after the game once they beat it. I wonder who, like I saw Esteval from the last one. And then
he was rough. Yeah, he was rough on Chelsea players. It also was like, okay, I don't care. I'm joining.
And then PSG Real, and then we have the final Sunday, the winner of our game on Wednesday, the winner the game on Tuesday. That's exciting. So a lot of money on the line on Wednesday. So it's going to be a big one. Jude's gonna get heated. He's gonna go shove Vitinha to the ground if Vitinha tries anything funny.
I love it. Look, I do think we do have to mention before we go, Rodrigo did get cameo minutes and had a potential for a nice assist. Too bad Rudiger was on the end of it, and that didn't really end well. I think, look, we've said it ad nauseum enough times. I think the writing's on the wall and it's clear, right? Like he is not long for this team. It's likely that he will be moved sometime post Club World Cup before the start of next season.
So you hear the reports about Al Nassr and Rodrigo today.
What do they say?
Well, apparently Ronaldo has instructed people at Al Nassr to go for Rodrigo before anyone else in Europe as like his next like strike partner. And basically, I think what happened is like Rodrigo had a post before the start of the game, which he deleted, like showing him at Real Madrid. And like it looked like some graphic someone on some social media person generated for him. And then it was deleted. Yeah. And then
really?
he plays 5 minutes and all things together. I think he's too ambitious. Yeah, apparently so. He informed Al Nassr he wants to play for the Premier League, but Ronaldo instructed Al Nassr to keep trying because he said
if we throw enough money at him, he'll come. If we make it 500 million, he'll come.
He's like, believe me, guys, I've been following this club for a while. Rodrigo's situation is not good. Now's the time. Like, I know Real Madrid, like they don't have room. They got Kylian, they got Vinny. I talk to Mbappe every day. Like he doesn't want to play with Rodrigo anymore. I don't know, but I don't know what's going on. But I think the main thing is he's too ambitious to go to somewhere like Al Nassr off the bat, I think is the problem. Yeah. So what are you waiting for, Arsenal? Like pick up the damn phone, raise the damn bid. Maybe we've just agreed to keep it hush till after the tournament.
That's probably my guess, is that the number's already agreed upon and it's quiet and it's whatever it is. So we get that, right? Let's say it's 80 is the number. And then we've already won 85 from this Club World Cup, right? So that's 165. Let's say we get another whatever and we win the next round, right? I mean, that's some nice cabbage for us to go sign another center back, and then what else?
A center back. I would honestly sign a center back and call it a good summer, and I would stash the money.
Yeah, I think you're right. A center back's probably
all. Oh, and I mean finish Carreras and a center back.
Oh, well, I already assume that's happening. That's why I didn't mention it.
I wonder if Carreras is. Well, I just don't know. With Benfica, they were weird. And then, like, you watch these games, you wonder if Carreras is scared calling his agent. He, like telling Benfica every good game Fran plays, he sends them another text. Carreras will not show up to training, just reminding you.
I don't want to play the last game.
He was benched, right?
Yeah, he was asked to come in. He said he didn't want to play. So I guess he's done. I mean, his mind is gone from the Benfica probably.
No, yeah, he saw Fred. He's like, you know what, guys? Like, I'm good. Like, I need to send a message right now. Like, I don't want y'all to think you can just bring me back anymore. Like, like Fran.
So do you think that's why Fran's playing his heart out right now? He knows Carreras is coming and he wants to.
No,
probably.
I think Javi's genuinely developed the crap out of Fran.
Yes,
honestly, more than anything.
Sure.
But on top of that, yes, there is that argument. But like, yeah, a man of the match in the quarterfinal. This is like this justifies Carreras sitting the last game. He's probably going like, "Thank God I sat. If I play that, Realer maybe just thinking twice right now." Because for me, that is a big show. Like, you kind of burn bridges with your team. We have to come and get you now.
100%. Look. There's no doubt that Carreras is a better player and a more technically skilled player, just overall better than Fran, right? And I think, again, he can be, because of Xabi's versatility, he can deploy Carreras in so many different ways, right? Because he has a lot of skill and develop him as well as he's been developing Fran. And I think Fran would be like a squad player because what is clear, guys, is that Xabi's going to rotate. He's going to rotate players a ton. Look, let's say we win the Club World Cup. That's on July 13th, 14th, whatever that Sunday is, right? La Liga's our first match is August 19th. That is literally 4 weeks later. That means no actual rest, right? None, because you got to come back to training camp at some point. So I think early on, we're going to be seeing a lot of rotation and a lot of other guys getting, because these guys have to get some time off their feet to get their recovery and build their strength back up and do the whole thing. So these guys are all going to be useful and used this season.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, gents? Close it out here.
That's it from me. What do you got, Taalib?
Pretty much, I think we covered most of it, but looking forward to the PSG game. I think that's going to be the toughest by far. I think the Juve was pretty not that good, and Dortmund somehow they scored 2 goals, and so I think PSG is a complete beast. We all know about that, so that's where the absolute test is going to come in.
And PSG, Sid, for me is going to be about the process, right? If all of a sudden we're back to helter-skelter and it's Ancelotti ball and it's all, then I'm going to be like, okay, the changes haven't taken root strong enough because under pressure, we're panicking and reverting back to what we know. But if you can still see the framework of what Xabi's doing, even though the end result may not be what we want, I'll be like, okay, the changes have taken root and we can see it. We just weren't able to execute it properly, right? That's what I'm going to be looking for. Are we doing what was being asked of us under the new man? Or is it, oh my God, panic, and we go back to reverting to what we did under Ancelotti? That's what I'm going to be watching for so closely against PSG.
They're going to miss that passing from Dean. Center back. I think maybe that's going to be missing and somebody has to take over, right? So either it's Rudiger, we all know what Rudiger is, but
I guess 2 teams without their main center backs. It'll be interesting. A little neutered, both teams, but they're still very good. So maybe the 2 most talented squads in the world right now, you could say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone who showed up on the live. Please make sure you are liking this video. Like this video, it helps in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure your alerts are turned on so you know every time we go live. Obviously, we will be back after the post game of PSG, but we'll probably do another episode, right, Sid, before then this week, possibly with Lecante. We'll see. If you like the audio only version, we are on Apple, Spotify. So please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Tell everybody about the best Real Madrid content podcast out there on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all the amazing channels. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Take care.